Good morning, everyone. It's 10:01. We're going to proceed with the public feedback session. This is regarding the Border Bruins Jack Goddard Memorial Arena liquor primary license. And I'm going to ask Councillor Mark if he would read the purpose of this session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of this session is to consider applications made to the City Council and to hear public feedback with regard to those applications. All persons who believe that their interest in property within the boundaries of the city is affected by the applications shall be afforded a reasonable opportunity to be heard or to present written submissions respecting matters contained in the applications that are the subject of this session. No one will be or should feel discouraged or prevented from making their views known. This session is open to the public, and all representations to council form part of the public record. A live video and audio feed may be broadcast and recorded. All information, correspondence, petitions, or reports that have been received concerning the applications have been made available to the public. The correspondence and petitions received after August 2026, the date of notification, are available for inspection during the course of this session and are located on the information table in the foyer of Council Chamber. Members of Council may ask questions if they so wish. However, the main function of Council members is to listen to the views of the public. It is not the function of Council to debate the merits of the proposed applications with individual citizens or with each other at this session. Council debate on the proposed application is scheduled to take place during the regular council meeting scheduled following the conclusion of this session. It should be noted, however, that for some items, a final decision may not be able to be reached at that meeting. It must be emphasized that Council will not receive any representation from the applicant or members of the public after the conclusion of this session. During a public feedback session, people sometimes become enthusiastic or emotional. Regardless of whether you favor or oppose any application or argument, please refrain from applause or other expressions of emotion. Restraint enables others whose views may or may not coincide with your own to exercise their right to express their views and have them heard in an impartial forum as possible.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mark. So I will ask Kevin, has the statutory notices from requirements been met?
They have. The advertising was in the Gazette on August 5th, and so those requirements have been completed.
Okay, thank you. So I will call for feedback for the first time. Second. And third. Seeing none, I move for adjournment. Thank you, Councillor. Welcome to the Committee of the Whole. I'm going to do our land acknowledgement. We are privileged to meet near the confluence of the Kettle and Granby Rivers, a location of ancestral importance to the hunters and fishers of our Indigenous communities. I have an apology from Director Weiss. She was called to a meeting in Trail, so she will not be in attendance this morning. She asked me to pass on her apologies. So I'll call this meeting to order. We have our agenda before us. For the Committee of the Whole, I ask that we move the agenda as presented. Thank you, Councillor Mark, seconded by Councillor Fleur. All those in favor? Opposed and carried. Minutes from June 8th, 2026 Committee of the Whole meeting. Move the minutes as presented. Thank you, Councillor Fleur, seconded by Councillor Krog. All those in favor, opposed, and then carried. Moving along to registered petitions and delegations, I do know that we have Mr. Baravarov and his engineer here this morning, and this is regarding curb and gutter variance. I'll ask if you want to take a step up to the mic there, Chuck, and Zach is stepping out. Thank you. Just record that Councillor Studley has left the meeting. Good morning. Push the button there so your lights are red. Oh, there we go.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
Hopefully you guys had a good break, and hopefully over the break I didn't send you guys too many emails. And but thank you to everybody who read them and replied. The reason we're here today is to discuss getting rid of the curb and gutter on our development on 68th, which will be 22nd Street when we're done. Now, I know public notice went out about 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, and you guys received in your email that you got on Thursday from the city, you received 5 emails from the public. 4 of them opposed our variance, and the reason they opposed our variance, and it's clearly stated in all 4, is that they were concerned that we're going to have culverts, ditches, and an unsightly development similar to the north of us. Even though we're not here to discuss that, the public support or the public opposition made us discuss that today. So I can reassure you that we are not going to have any of that. That's already been discussed. So it's only about curb and gutter today. So I feel those 4 letters of opposition, because they didn't address the issue, should be discounted and ignored. Now, the 1 letter of support within the 30-meter notification actually supported the curb and gutter removal. So we also received a 2nd letter of support. Now, I don't know why it wasn't included in the email to you guys, but I do have a copy of it here in case you guys want to see that. So, in fact, we have 2 letters of support for the curb and gutter, and we have 4 letters of support of opposition that are irrelevant. So that being said, the bylaw for curb and gutter has been in place for 31 years. And in those 31 years, I know there's been other developments and projects that have went forward without curb and gutter. We're not the first one asking for this, and we definitely won't be the last one. Now, what you guys decide today isn't precedent setting. Whenever there's a variance hearing, it doesn't set a precedence for future developers asking for the same thing. Each one is treated individually, so I'll ask you to consider that when you're deciding this. Now, the one concern the city has is without the curb and gutter, the city's concerned the asphalt won't have as long a life cycle as with the curb. I've researched the Ministry of Transportation and Highways, how they build roads. All of the 600 kilometers I traveled yesterday on the highway, there's no curb and gutter on any of it. Where the asphalt breaks down is where the traffic is. Even in the city here, you drive around, where's the damage to the asphalt? Can you pour me some water, please? And the damage is where the traffic is. The edges of the asphalt is mostly undamaged by cars driving on it. But what we're proposing is to fill the edge of the shoulder of our street with crush and compact it to asphalt level. So it'll make a firm support for the asphalt, and therefore the asphalt is going to last many, many decades. And so granting our variance today, like I said, it will not set a precedence, and it will allow us to complete our project in a timely manner and have lots on sale at an affordable price to the public um, this year. So with that, I'd like to turn the mic over to Dan, and he could fill you in more. Thank you.
I don't have a great deal to add other than to confirm that just from my observations in, oh, I'm sorry, Dan Solstrom, WSA Engineering from Castlegar. We're the engineering company that are preparing the design. And our original design included the curb and gutter. When we were approached by Chuck to ask whether the curb and gutter was necessary, we did confirm that we were not using it in our design for its typical purpose, which is generally to collect and guide the water, stormwater, to a disposal area. That is unnecessary in this particular design where there is no piped storm system to collect the water and take it to. So because that water filtrates into the ditches, we offered the opinion that he was better off without the curb and gutter with respect to a more uniform distribution of that water into the adjacent swales. And the point raised about the curb providing protection to the edge of the asphalt is a good point. It does that. Where you don't have the curb to pave up against, you then rely on the compacted gravel, which Chuck has mentioned. To put it sort of in layman's terms, I just don't think it's a thing. If you drive around, as I did, came a little early, drove around town, and Chuck is right. There's many kilometers within the town of the city of Grand Forks with no curb and gutter. I don't see the deterioration. I was going to ask, but I didn't, whether the city has a budget related to maintenance of asphalt edge for gravel supported and gravel boulevard areas that is over and above and different from that on streets with curb and gutter. I don't think that's typical, but I didn't ask the question. So in general, for us, I am supportive because we don't need it to manage the stormwater. Perhaps the stormwater is better managed without it. We would typically design with it. That's the go-to because that's the majority of municipal bylaws have that. It's an added expense for the development that I don't see has an offsetting benefit. And so we're generally in support of not including the curb and gutter.
All right, let's open up to council for questions. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. A question and then a follow-up. Through what does Bryson Place have with relative to curb and gutter or?
So good morning, council. So through worship, I believe it's a rollover curb with a sidewalk and a couple catchments with soaker pits. Alex, correct? Yeah.
So they've got soaker pits to deal with the water issue.
So through your worship, it would look like a common urban drainage system. However, it doesn't tie into a common storm system, so it doesn't tie into a city system. It goes into essentially a big vertical chamber where it holds and slowly dissipates over time.
Can I ask one more?
Go ahead, council.
So through to Chuck and possibly Dan, would you consider, rather than curb and gutter, doing a sort of a soaker pit idea?
That's exactly what we're doing. But instead of a big pit, the pit is stretched out across the 500 feet on both sides of the street. So it is exactly the same, but instead of pooling in one pit for the whole development, it does spread out, and so the water goes back into the 20 lots.
Okay. Councillor Krog.
With, sorry, with drainage pits, there's usually gravel or some kind of filter. Is that going to be in the bottom of those ditches?
Yes. So there's a linear trench all along the length of the project that is lined with a filter fabric, backfilled with a drain rock to allow the drain rock does two things. It gives you a place to store the water until it has a chance to dissipate through it stores in the voids between the rock. So we're creating a often referred to as a French drain. So when Chuck says it's the same thing, it's an alternate method of a disposal system that does use drain rock. We preferred the linear
So it's
stretch.
not just, it's not a ditch. They
Co-
said
correct.
If I went up there and dug a hole and hoped it would drain. It
Correct.
has had its-
So yeah, we put a layer of the cloth, and we will put a prescribed blend of sandy topsoil on top of it, so that it can be landscaped. So we'll have a green swale. The rocks are not exposed to the surface, uh, and then in addition, and to make sure that the water can get into the drain rock, each lot in front of them will have a small catch basin, so that in times of the year when that topsoil perhaps is frozen, you can still get water down and into the linear drain rock system.
Okay. Any further questions from council? Councillor Mark.
Thank you. To the engineer, have you removed the curb and gutter in any other of your designs and seen it used it in any other developments?
We haven't gone through a process of variance and removal of curb and gutter, but we do many designs in rural areas where it's not prescribed. And this is the system that we use in that area successfully.
Follow up, Councillor Mark?
Yes, I have one more question.
Sure.
So, Mr. Verbief, if we do approve the removal of the curb and gutter, what is your estimated cost savings?
Between 100 and 125,000.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other further questions? I'll ask a couple if I could. So if we were to go ahead and grant this variance, Chuck, I need a couple of questions is, do you have the funds to make this happen? And and I think I heard you say you would have it completed within a year. Is that, am I correct in that? Are you okay with that?
No,
Okay.
I'm okay with completing it before the end of September.
Oh, okay.
So, yes, the funds are in place.
Okay.
If this variance isn't granted, I'm gonna have to struggle to come up with the extra money. And that ultimately is gonna be passed on to the home buyers. So, yes, I do want to get this project completed and paved before fall.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Councillor Mark, follow-up question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Chuck, if the variance wasn't approved, mm, you say it's still doable. It's going to be more of a struggle for you. Obviously, it's going to require more time. Do you have a timeline for that, an estimate even?
I don't, because with land developments, borrowing money is next to impossible. You go to a traditional bank or credit union, they turn you down flat. So you have to go to high interest lenders. And again, it's everything is so inflated these days with cost overruns and stuff. People are steering clear of lending for property development. So to be totally honest and transparent, uh, all my funds are tied up in this project, and I don't have the 120, 125, possibly up to 150, depending on what prices do. So, like I say, it would be a struggle, but it wouldn't be impossible. I'd do what I have to do to make it work. I'm not going to walk away from this project. My family's been here since the turn of the 20th century, so the last thing I want to do is tarnish our name by leaving a project that's unsightly and unfinished. So I will go ahead. I'll do whatever I have to do to make it work, but the best case scenario is we leave here today happy and continue construction in the next week and get it done. And I have had a number of contractors and builders contact me, and they're wanting to buy properties, but unlike the city where you announce a project, people are lining up with deposits, here they want to see titles. So, and I can't get the titles until the paving is done. So with the winter coming too, we need to think about that and hopefully get it paved towards the end of September, and then have 20 more lots for sale and possibly sold, and that's 20 more property tax invoices that you'll be sending out in January. So I feel it's a win-win for everybody.
Thank you. No more further questions? Appreciate it. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you very much. We'll bring this forward to the regular meeting, so thank you. Okay. So we'll move along to the monthly highlight. Oh, Councilor Studley, yes. Sorry. Yeah. Oops. Yeah. I didn't see him over there. Microphone. All right. So we'll move ahead. Obviously, Linda Kay is unable to be here, so we'll move ahead to the monthly highlight reports. Department managers. Go ahead.
Yep. So through your worship, maybe I'll ask if our fire chief, Rich Pishay, can come up and just provide a
Sure.
fire update. We've been getting a lot of questions from the public and council, and so this is the guy.
Good.
So yeah, through your worship, Duncan asked me to give you guys an update, obviously, especially after what transpired in Summerland. It heightened us and our awareness. Not that we weren't already, but so I want to provide you a little update with the boundary and with Grand Forks. And one of these is in the highlight report, just how we've been proactively preparing for the increased wildfire risk. So first off, we've put together a boundary task force. We worked with our regional fire service partners, and we have a predetermined boundary task force that can quickly mobilize if we have a significant event in the boundary. And that includes 3 engines and 2 tenders from Castlegar, Christina Lake, Kootenay Boundary, and Grand Forks. We have deployed on a provincial deployment, our 3rd crew deployed on Sunday to Boston Bar, and I heard if they have a successful backburn this morning, they're going to move them to another spot. So it's been going really well for those individuals. We've also decided to add some additional equipment to our pickups. So we've utilized some tanks and pumps and hoses, so that any one of our pickups has a little bit of water and something for that rapid attack as we're driving around the community. So there's not a single, other than one that just doesn't have the capacity because it has a canopy. Every pickup you see, including mine, has the ability to put water on a fire very, very quickly. which led us to increase a bit of our inventory for our wildland equipment to accommodate that. Every morning we do a daily weather monitoring with the work experienced firefighters. What do we have today? What's the humidity? What's the temperatures? What do we anticipate the winds to be? So we kind of know what we're up against in our backyard. We also remain in contact with our neighboring fire chief. We check in with each other. What do you have for available members, mutual aid, that kind of stuff, if something was to happen. Something we're all doing, we're paying close attention to our weekend and our duty coverage. So we're always making sure that we have a capable crew capable of responding, especially in the busy summer months with paid on call firefighters being on holidays. And I'm quite comfortable with the 3 that we're rotating on deployment. I wouldn't go anymore, and we have been asked for more many times. They're not just us. They're constantly saying, hey, we've received what you have. Do you have anything more? Do you have any more people? 3 is all I feel comfortable at the moment. And the last thing is just public awareness. We've really been increasing our social media messaging around the conditions and prevention, preparedness for fire smart practices, and really encouraging residents to rely on official information resources. As we know, we've seen out there when you get wrong information. So just trying to educate. But really our overall focus has been on preparedness, the early response, that regional cooperation, and making sure that we have adequate resources here at home. It's been nice. We've had a little bit of humidity, and we've had the cooler evenings, a little bit of rain, but as we all know, that it's still extremely dry out there. So we're going to continue to monitor on a daily basis and make sure we're ready as we can be.
And thank you. Any questions for the chief? Councillor Thompson?
I just want to say that I'm extremely proud of our department and its volunteers to give up their time to help our neighbors with the fires that they're experiencing, particularly Summerland. And I hope they all stay safe and have safe travels, and they have my sincere gratitude.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. Councillor Krog?
Jumping from forestry type fires to the actual monthly reports, and there's a line item in progress. I'm wondering what that we haven't had any in June or July. We've had some year to date.
So in progress just means we haven't had a chance to process those reports yet. So it
it's not still burning?
no,
Oh,
no. It means so. Good question. So Morgan inputs our calls, and sometimes we can come back from a weekend, and when I'm doing the report, there could be 6 calls sitting in the queue that haven't gone into the data that I'm giving you. So that's why there's a slight chance there could be a couple calls, that we haven't put into the highlight report. That's all. That's the in progress.
Not so much.
Yeah. No,
I thought it
yeah.
was like an ongoing.
But good point. I'll yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Thompson? Follow up.
Speaking of fires, knowing I heard a bunch of sirens yesterday. They happened where that fire related?
I'm trying to think. We had a couple calls, but we wouldn't have gone code 3 because there were burn complaints. But they did have a first responder call in the afternoon that they would have gone.
Cardiac arrest, I
Yeah,
believe.
correct. Yeah.
Councillor Zelinski?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Couple questions for you, Chief. All your information, your communications, where are you posting that or publishing it?
Typically on Facebook, on our Facebook page.
On the Emergency Services Facebook page.
Yeah, on our page, on the Grand Forks Fire Rescue page.
Okay.
And then we share those to a few of the more popular groups out there. Yeah. Yeah, they get a lot of traction. Lots.
Oh, good, good. Rural fire departments, do we store water out there right now? Um, is there a quick response from those rural fire departments as far as they've got a quick response water on
When
board
you say
that they can-
rural, you mean our regional district
Yes.
departments with Grand Forks? Yeah, of
Linda
course.
Gates area and stuff. My house.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
No different than anywhere else.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as water supply, we don't have remote water supplies throughout the regional district. That's why we have our Superior Tender Shuttle accreditation. That's what we use the tenders for. So those will roll to those calls to bring the backup water, and then they start coming back to a fill site, which could be remotely. Like we have a few sites targeted up and down the North Fork and the Granby that we could pull off and draft from 100% and fill tenders from. But we don't have like a reservoir or anything like that just
No.
sitting there to fill.
No.
Onboard? Yeah, so you have your onboard,
Yep.
you know, your typically 1,000 gallons on board, and then your tenders come accordingly with extra water.
Yeah, I guess, and you know, as we drive to Kelowna, we see the water
Yeah.
storage on the side for sort of.
Those
like-
those are great for in my opinion, again, this is just my opinion, for people who are first on scene or see something.
Yeah.
Is that awesome to have? Yeah. Would our pickups be able to utilize that? Yeah. Would our way too much for any large truck because it's just there's not enough. But I mean, if how many fires have we heard of that people have said they've driven by and just wish they had a shovel or a bit of water, right? And those are people who are traveling the highways.
Yep.
Right. And I've heard that firsthand from the Rock Creek fire that somebody drove by and said at the time I saw it, if I only would have had something to put it out, I could have put it out till before it grew. And that does happen. There's a few fires, the one we had in town down behind Angus McDonald, that was people who put it out. Fires on the highways that happen from vehicle fires that start spreading into the wildland. We're lucky enough that we have a lot of commercial vehicles that drive around with portable water tank. They're the ones that keep those at bay a lot of the times. So those, what you're talking about, I think are great for that.
Yeah, and I'm more concerned about the rural area because that's what I
Right.
know more about.
Right.
Where the people out there think they're all by themselves, especially if they see a fire of some sort.
Right.
First of all, who do I contact? Where's the water source? And when I see those water things along the highway to Kelowna, I know it gives people a little more solace that they've got something to deal with. And I just hope that our rural area doesn't think that they're hanging out there alone. And
Definitely not.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Krog and then Councillor Lafleur.
Kind of off topic, but dragged in by Councillor Zelinski. I too was going to Kelowna for an appointment, and I saw those carboys for one of their whatever
Mhm.
are the water holding units, and some were colored. You know, do they have retardant in them?
Not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. That I'm unaware of. I'm not aware of what kind of program and whether that's just the residents doing that on their own. Yeah. So I'll put it into perspective, and not to dig in. So when our guys came back from deployment, they said they will not hook up to residential hoses that have been pre-connected to people's homes because that's a liability. So think about that with those, right? That's the world we live in. Like if we as a fire department are going to put those out, now we own them, we have to guarantee them and so on. It's the same thing for, and that's great that I'm all for the public trying to do things. And, but as far as the fire department initiating something like that, you can see, right, people are doing the right thing, putting up their own sprinklers, doing their own hose, and BC Wildfire will still not use that and put up their own because they're liable for that to be working, right?
Councillor Lafleur?
Just a comment that happened a number of years ago for our chimney product. And my understanding is that they only put that fire out. I was in rural district area meeting. They put something in my yard and they threw it over to the next
100% foam works. That's why you look at my tank and it's brown in color, because there's a cup of foam in it, and it makes the water wetter, and it saturates, and there's all kinds of science behind it. So that could be what you're seeing, and maybe somebody has done that. It makes the water go a lot further. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, thank you. Just so the public knows, and certainly council is aware, I did reach out to Mayor Doug of Summerland the day after the fire had started. He did respond back saying appreciate it. We offered anything that we could anything that we could do to assist, to please let me know, and he had shared his appreciation. So it's good to be able to do that. So any other questions for our chief? Seeing none, thank you, chief, for all the work you do.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, monthly reports. Any other questions for okay, Councillor Studley?
This is about the skateboard park. Kevin, if you're able to bring up a picture of the lights, if you have it, or the pole. Yep. It's no big deal either way, and I'm sure there's a logical explanation. Yep, I sent it to you and Kev. Yeah, currently there are some red markers around. I assume those are indicating where the power poles will be. And there's sort of a peak at the very front, the front of the skateboard park that's facing the road. There's sort of a peak. It goes flat and then a peak. And there's a pole marker sort of offset from that peak, maybe just by literally a foot. And just OCD says that pole should be right in the middle of the peak, and that peak is sort of central to the perceived center of the skateboard park. And it would actually, I think, it'd actually bring it more center, period, than where it is now. Right now, it's probably off center by maybe 3 or 4 feet. But bringing it in just a little bit to the central peak would make it where the perceived center of the skateboard park is. So I was just wondering if there's a reason why it's sort of off center. I couldn't see where it is centered to, or if it is supposed to be centered to anything.
I haven't looked at the design that Alex Love kind of supplied to Greg and Miles, but I know the polls came in last week, so the project should be starting in the next couple of weeks. But I'll go back and have a look and kind of make sure that what we're doing is aesthetically pleasing to the eye, and there's no kind of offset poles that look a little kind of...
Exactly, and it's literally a matter of a foot, maybe even less than that, and it would be perfectly on center with the perceived center of the park.
I'll look into it. It could be a reason in terms of where the existing utilities are kind of sitting, or where the actual kind of concrete for the skate park or even the irrigation is kind of located. So I'll check into that, and maybe I'll shoot Duncan an email and
much appreciated.
Okay, awesome.
And I'll add in there, Councillor, and through your worship, that we haven't worked with this skate park group, and we just haven't had a chance to connect with them over the summer about fundraising. I know that was an option, and so we are moving forward with the lights, and we will regroup with them at some point, but we haven't had a chance to do that yet, so I'll just put that out there.
Okay. Councillor Zelensky.
Same topic. When are we going to get the fence along the street, along the sidewalk there, the skateboard park on there? Go back and check, and I'm quite sure there was.
Regarding the possibility of installing a fence, but I'm not sure if that kind of went through there. But yeah, I'll double check. Thanks.
I thought there was a concern about people coming out of that bowl into the fence. Was the concern part of the discussion? So we'll have to go back and take a look at the discussion.
I remember they said it's going to line up with Ball Park. Yeah, let's
talked about moving it farther out, but we have a water line out there, I think, was also part of the discussion.
Okay, thank you. Any other further questions for staff in general? Councillor Zelensky, and then Councillor Lafleur.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bylaw concerns. I got other with 10 of them in the last 2 months. I wonder what other is.
Councillor Lafleur.
I'm
I'm getting a lot of complaints about off-leash dogs in City Park. And I received an email yesterday requesting a sign, dogs must be on leashes, at Fifth Street Park to access the park. Is that possible that something could be added there?
Councillor Zelinski?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. How are we doing with the columbarium permits and whatnot? Any?
Yeah,
It's,
good news.
it's done.
Hey.
Yeah, we got the certificate actually.
Where's the sign-up sheet? Sorry.
That's not good. When did we get the certificate? Last week? Yeah, so we will need to update the bylaw now that it is a legal columbarium and it's on its plot and it's there. So we'll need to update our bylaw with some fees and charges for the columbarium, and I think Marcus has that in his work plan. I mean, you can pass whatever resolution. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, well, we're halfway there then. So, all right. Any other questions for staff? Okay, seeing none, can I have a motion to receive the monthly reports? Thank you, Councillor Fleur, seconded by Councillor Mark. All those in favor and opposed, carried. Capital projects update. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Ben Stevens here with Graham Watt. Peter Novakshinoff was not available today, but he did put this presentation together, and just generally speaking, cannot say enough about his contributions to these projects and Council's strategic priorities. Just so impressed with what he brings to the table. So we've moved away, of course, from these being flood mitigation specific. They are now capital project, general capital. And the way we've organized these since the beginning of 2026 is with sort of these 5 categories you're seeing here. What is this department doing this year? We're building a reservoir. 6, we're wrapping up flood mitigation. We're turning our attention to sewer, and we're doing other small capital projects. So that's the way you'll presentation as well. So just a single slide on the reservoir. Tank construction is, Council is aware. We like to call the logo on there the amnesia recovery. If you roll out of bed and forget where you are, you just gotta look up and you'll know. We a bit of a quiet period, and that's because we've been in the throes of negotiating, finalizing a contract, some design adjustments with the successful to finish the work. We're calling that the site services contract. So COPCAN Civil out of Rossland was successful on that. We did get several competitive proposals. I'm very pleased to report that we're continuing to generate a lot of interest in our capital projects. Some of those are local, some of them are regional, some of them are from farther afield, but good interest, good competition in our programs. So COPCAN will mobilize right after Labor Day in early September, and they've got about its worth of work. Things like tying in the water line, a lot of electrical work, lightning protection, a kiosk, drainage works, fencing, all the things that are not specifically associated with the tank. And then we're going to commission that tank in October. Reporting to funders ongoing. Thanks to Marcus for his excellent work there. This update for council and the bulk of this presentation is regarding wells. So we've copied over what's in the strategic plan.
Do you have a question, Councillor?
Yeah, I was
No, we don't. So we've focused on bringing this new one online, building it. We didn't want to kind of distract anything from that important scope. I would say we'll bring some initial options to council heading into 2027 regarding how much effort we see it taking to sort of explore costs, or maybe even bring some initial costs for that. The other thing we're doing is we continue to come under budget, even with the well exploration, which I'm going to talk about now, which council directed us to proceed with. Even with adding that to the program, we're still under budget. So there's likely to be some surplus grant money, either for a well, putting towards a well, or for existing reservoir decommissioning, if that was what council wanted to do.
And Ben, we're reliant on that reservoir still. We're still using it through worship, and it's going to allow us to slow fill and test the new reservoir. And we have no interest in pulling it offline for the for the fall anyway. We want to slow release and slow bring this thing online just because of the difference.
That's right, yeah. So we want to make sure we're fully commissioned before we think about decommissioning and capping that old line, and make sure the existing tank and our wells, which are of course working in concert with the tank constantly, are functioning well and understood. So
Follow up?
Well, not really easy to make ice.
Yeah, that's right. On a door skating rink. I gotcha. Go ahead, Ben.
thank you. So on our well exploration, in the strategic plan to explore additional well options, and the plan was to do this if we could out of grant surplus, which we've been able to do. And so we're happy to report we've completed the actions within the strategic plan relating to well exploration, and the results we wanted to, which was identification of additional wells for future connection, is also complete. So I'll speak to kind of where we're at on that. Just as a little bit of background for council and the public, a reminder, most of you are well aware, but have 5 wells connected to our system. They are listed there. You can see the liters per second that each of those well pumps is capable of, ranging from around 30 to around 80 liters per second. Just for context, a bathtub is 150 liters roughly, so you kind of see the range there, 30 liters per second to 80 liters per second with our existing wells. And that's important because you'll see in a minute what we've been able to find in the program. And you see the depths of those existing wells. The map just shows their locations. It's a little bit hard to see, but in blue, those existing wells all. Next slide just goes back to remind council about the work we did. Thanks to Peter and our ISL hydrogeology, a lot of work went into selecting the locations for these test wells, which we've completed. And so you can see in the blue dots there are existing wells in the valley, and wherever publicly available information about those wells was published, we reviewed it, or a hydrogeologist reviewed it, and we used that information and the hydrogeologist's expertise based on water quality from those existing public wells or publicly available reports, as well as and then just a general understanding of the aquifer shape and that sort of thing. And they came up with 5 recommended test well locations. What you see on the right there is just from their work. We were exploring with the utilities department, with the water sewer department, with our existing staff, where would they like to see our hydrogen? And it was based in part on where does the city own land where a well could exist. And so the hydrogeologist looked at all 16 of those locations and kind of provided feedback as to what would make sense. Next slide shows what they eventually recommended. I think we presented this to council in March before we started our. So 5 recommended test wells starting at the airport. Test well 1 over to the disc golf, test well 2 up to the northwest corner, test well 3, and then test well 4 and 5. And I recall we explained to council at the time we were going to drill the first 3, and they recommended necessarily going to drill 4 and 5 because depending on what we found, it may not be necessary, or depending on what we found, we might want to change course because the results of those first 3 might impact what we want to do next. Next slide shows what we actually drilled, and so three test wells, and it would be difficult to overstate how this program went. And some of that is the research that we did. Some of that is just being fortunate. So we've heard of other municipalities that have drilled up to 5 wells and not found a viable well, and that was certainly a risk here. There's a chance that could have happened in the past, and just as luck would have it, we weren't successful. That was, in 2019 we tried. So we found 3 arguably viable wells, all 3 of them. One is up at the airport, one is at disc golf, and one is on north end of Columbia Drive near Coal Chute. When I say viable, we hit water in all 3 cases, and enough water well in there. The next slide will kind of show the details of of all three test wells. So you've got the total there where the screen is, what the water level's at, some information about the aquifer. A couple big things I want to point out. You see the sustainable rate there, 18 liters per second. Not great, but for a smaller well, it's possible. The other three are just absolute gushers. I mean, 153 liters per second to 150 liters per second based on a 100-day sustainable rate. Those are nearly double our largest wells in terms of out of the ground there. In terms of quality, thankfully the one that didn't meet water quality standards was also the piddly one, the 18 liters per second. And so generally speaking, we're just writing that off entirely. We're not going to put more effort into exploring that one. It's small, water quality wasn't there. We're done, it exists, it's capped. The other two are definitely viable options for the city in the future. In particular, test well 2 by the disc golf, very sustainable rate at nearly double what we have at our big wells, and no treatment required. It meets all straight out of the ground water, meets all Canadian drinking water quality guidelines. And so the fact that both of those big boxes, pump rate and water quality, are checked is just a huge win. The last well, test well 3, also a gusher, 157 liters per second. It need the drinking water quality standards, meaning that if it were in the future considered by council, it would need some filtration. It doesn't need elaborate treatment, but it would need some filtration. And so, option for the future. However, the big win here is the disc golf course, test well 2, no treatment required. And so we have likely found the city's next well, well 6. So next slide will just show proposed recommendations from our professionals. So they are not recommending we drill any more wells because we were successful with the 3 that we drilled, and we'd like to, save that money and use it towards other things. And so the plan is to complete the reservoir construction and commissioning and basically confirm once that's exactly how much of the grant money is left over, and then come to council likely for strategic planning or budgeting in 2027 with this is how much is left over in the grant, and these are your options, including potentially looking to design and bring on another well. So that is, maybe I'll pause there just in case there's any well-related questions, and I'll hand it to Graham.
Yeah, thank you. For test well number 3, met with filtration. What was the contaminants that we were aiming to filter out of that one?
So good question. It was only manganese, and so we were when you first start pumping these, there's often a little bit higher iron and different things that generally clear out as you and turbidity, things like that. That one didn't. The manganese remained high. It is only slightly higher than the drinking water quality standards, and in fact, they have lowered those standards. They've made them more stringent. In the past years, the manganese in well 3 would have simply been the limit was just for aesthetics. It was just for ever so slight discoloration. We met that limit, but we didn't meet the new limit that they've imposed. And so it is just manganese. There is green sand filtration options, but they do cost more than if a well doesn't need any filtration. So
great, thank you.
Thank you, through your worship. Unlike the 20 slides that we used to have for flood mitigation, we're down to 1 now. Since last reporting, the Oversight Committee has met federally, and we've submitted our final report, and it was accepted, and the 5% holdback was received back through our finances. What was that, Marcus, in the last few weeks sometime? The 5% holdback on the federal? Almost 2 weeks ago. So that was a nice one of the multiple steps of closeout that we're doing. There's been the South Ruckle final grant report was submitted, and we're awaiting the response on that one. Multiple regulatory closeout items that are pending and reporting going back and forth, that kind of thing. We've submitted an application to amend the CPF for industrial dike, which is seen on the right here, and on the upper right of that picture got that drainage scope where you might recall in 2023 there was a moderate flood year it was wet both sides of the dike. And just like other areas of the city, it's sand and gravel underneath the ground and the water comes up. And so we've scoped something similar size, but similar to South Ruckle, where we would propose to use the unspent funds um, on an intake structure and outfall structure similar to per council's direction last fall. So we'll wait to see what the results are on that and report back. And the main thing is we have a better understanding of at this point, with all of the 43 provincial and federal permits and authorizations, we have kind of a complete manifest of what are the near-term requirements and then the long-term. And every authorization is a gift that keeps on giving in some ways. And so there's ongoing responsibilities that we'll be sharing with council as we fully close out the program.
Councillor Krog?
The job that you guys have done with the flood recovery is pretty impressive. And you were just talking about bandit stuff. Any chance that you could put it all together in a package and sell it? Not give it to other companies, sell it. And I'm serious about that. Sure, I'd like to help people. If we can recoup some of that stuff, is that a possibility or no? No, I was just curious. The groundbreaking work that you guys have done has value. So it'd be nice to be able to.
Councillor Thompson?
I think in order to do that, we'd have to copyright the details and then sell it and make money.
Go continue on, guys.
Yeah, it is a good question, and I will say that every meeting that we have with our funders and with our regulators and others, we continue to offer our services. We haven't picked a rate. We just say any communities that want to know more about what we did and what we learned, because it was not easy, and we learned the hard way in many cases. By all means, let us know, because we want to make sure that other communities do benefit from what we've learned. Hadn't thought about the charge out aspect, but we did. Jonathan and Kevin recently updated the flood mitigation program webpage with the posters that council saw at the ribbon cutting ceremony, and so that's kind of put a bit of a bookend on that webpage. It's now kind of archived, but if folks want a quick review of what occurred over the last 6 or 7 years in terms of flood mitigation, that's a quick 12 slides and kind of speaks to what the city accomplished.
And of course, Duncan and I had an opportunity at UBCM last year to, in small forum, to talk about what has happened here in Grand Forks and where we're at in Hedmond, and that was really good. So very well received.
Okay, so we've talked about reservoir, wells, flood mitigation, now on to sewer. And so our plan this year, as mentioned, is turning our attention to sewer and a priority. Of course, as part of the strategic plan, council asked us to look into rescoping the ISIP stormwater grant, which we have been working on with funders. They've been very receptive to it. We did provide council some information report about this, and we're gonna work during the month of August. Plan to submit a formal application to rescope ISIP to sewer infrastructure in particular. So we're anticipating, based on the productive conversations we've had with them, we anticipate approval from the province in October for us to scoped work. Also related to sewer, just a bit of an update. We're out on BC bid for our sewer services. We're out on BC bid for some work related to the housing needs grant that Dolores a lot of the things she needed to do, which left over some money to do some sewer inspection work, which we're now. As mentioned, we're preparing an application for that ISIP rescope, and then we continue to monitor our flow data, which will all be information that will feed into the new model. Just a quick slide on there's a few different categories of funding in the capital plan related to sewer, so I've just consolidated them here. there's 345,000 for a Black Train Bridge sewer upgrade, and that's been on the books for a few years. We had some engineering done. We had a lot of sewer modeling and done out of that money, but we've been reluctant to spend it until we've got a larger program, which is likely to be coming out of this ISIP rescope. That project will be tagged on based on engineering recommendations as opposed to just proceeding. Sewer modeling, city funded, that's proceeding. High priority sewer mains, this 400,000 was in the budget if the strategic priorities fund 7 million. And unfortunately we didn't. So essentially that 400,000 will not be used. That'll just go away. There's 85,000 that was not on the capital plan because it was in the operational budget, and that is coming out of the housing needs grant money that Dolores was working on and is now kind of gifted our department this 85,000 to work towards the next priority council, which is sewer condition and risk assessment. So we're also out on BC bid right now for folks to come and do sewer inspection, camera work, inspection, that sort of thing. And then last slide, just on some minor capital projects. The 2nd Street lighting, we were involved, or sorry, Alex is managing the skate park lighting. We were involved in street lighting, but it's still his crew doing it. I see some stakes in the ground. They are proceeding. So we expect to see that relatively soon. Continuing to negotiate with Interfor on the trail agreement. I've had conversations with their lawyers. I've had conversations with their management. The sticking point right now is whether we need to open up old agreements, old trail agreements, or whether we can just focus on this one. And so back on that, I do expect we'll come to council in September with sort of a, here are the options. We've reached the end of what we're able to negotiate with our authority. To do any more, we'll need council's direction. We're negotiating with a City Hall heritage assessment, so expect that to get done this fall. The bleachers were substantially completed before the July, so I hope people slept even better than normal, knowing those things were structurally sound and also made safe in other ways, including stronger guardrails and that sort of thing. There's a little bit of wrap-up work getting done this month on, and then there was a small project to install a wildlife gate. It's just a way for the deer to get out if they do get stuck in the North Ruckle habitat. I will leave it there and open to questions.
Councillor Krog?
Yeah, North Ruckle habitat, the side with the trees. I see there's some stakes on that. What is?
Through the mayor, are they red stakes? Yeah. There's the one that Councillor Studley pointed out at the skate park. That is where the electrical department are planning to put poles. Of course, it was in the capital plan to put lighting back in North Ruckle along 2nd Street. So there's 4 poles planned along that east side of the road, and that's what that would be, where one of the poles is going. Yeah.
Okay, any questions for Ben and his team? Seeing none? Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate your report. All right, moving along. Recommendations from staff for discussion. We have a communication policy update. The recommendation is that the Committee of the Whole refer the draft Communication Policy 206 to the September 21st regular meeting for adoption. Thank you, Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Fleur. Any questions? Councillor Selinsky.
Yeah, well, I guess if it's moved to the 17th, then I'll bring all my comments to that meeting, I guess. I see no rush for this. I think we can work through that. One of the things that came to mind was it talks about social media posts, and I would prefer if we actually listed those. Right now, it's open to interpretation from staff, and maybe we don't want to post on the local cat shelter page. So as long as they're listed, then council can always change it. That's going to be one of my suggestions. So I'll leave it with you, but I'll bring it back to the next meeting.
Okay.
Through your worship, if there's something council would like to see, we can make those adjustments between now and then, and you can see a final version if you like. if council's up for it.
So in other words, you want, if we have some suggestions, please email us. Okay. Slow walking. Okay. So we're going to bring it back for the September 21st regular meeting. Moved and seconded. Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Proposed bylaws for discussion, the 2027 permissive tax exemption bylaw number 2127. The recommendation is that the committee of the whole recommends to council that gives first three readings to the 2027 permissive tax exemption bylaw number 2127 at the regular meeting of the September 21st, 2026 meeting. Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Seconded by Councillor Fleur. Any question?
Has there been any feedback on this bylaw? I'm asking through Kevin or Duncan.
There is not a feedback requirement, so yeah, I don't believe we've received any. No, I don't believe so.
I received one, but it was just somebody asking how I was going to vote. So,
Go ahead.
I'll just note that this bylaw does include the Slavonic Hall, which I think council is aware of. It's in the report, which has been included in the past and has not submitted an application in a number of years, but is still owned and titled to Slavonic Hall. And then also the new Boundary Community Food Bank Society is also included in it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Councillor Zielinski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I do have an issue with the new food bank being included because the titles aren't even created. So a lot can happen between now and then. So if that's in the list now, I would like it removed, or I'll make a motion that be. Let's start there. I'll make a motion that we remove that.
So the motion is that we adopt. So you're going to amend it. Okay. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Thompson. Sorry.
The bank, I think, is in the process of acquiring the land, and I think, and I hear what Councillor Zielinski is saying, but in order to provide them with some certainty for their funding and their needs, I don't particularly have an issue with including that that in the bylaw, because if we don't, well, then I guess we be asked to give a grant and aid or whatever. So, you know, it's I think the food bank provides excellent service to those who need it in our community, and I won't be able to support Councillor Zielinski's amendment for that reason.
Councillor Zielinski?
If you ever heard that I'm not supporting the food bank, I must have misspoke because that has nothing to do with this. It's a matter of we don't even have a title to be able to give the benefit to. I don't think that anybody would suggest that once they get title that this council would decline their request. And as far as certainty, we can add it this time. The next group can exclude it for that matter. So there's really no certainty in this. This comes up every year. I'm just saying follow the right process, and until you actually get a lot so that you can give the benefit to, I think that's reasonable. Just like the Slavonic Hall, I think should be removed also because we don't have a customer there in my books. So, thanks.
Go Councillor Thompson and then staff.
Going to ask if our either our or our city administrator would like to speak to the issue of including the food bank, proposed land for the food bank in the bylaw.
Through the mayor, Marcus, CFO for the city of Grand Forks. There's no risk in leaving this in the bylaw. My report speaks to this in the sense that administratively it may not go through, but chance that they get title before the end of the year. And by including them in this bylaw, it gives BC Assessment the opportunity to grant that tax exemption for 2027 if administratively possible. So, very short, by including them in this bylaw, yes, we don't have the folios, but I will put as much of the description as I can. And BC Assessment has indicated that that would be enough to identify the parcels at a later date when those titles are created. And so there is a good chance that by including them in this bylaw in 2026, that they will get the 2027 exemption if everything does go through.
Jump in. So if they do not own the property by tax season next year, then that exemption cannot happen.
Correct.
Councillor Slinsky?
But there's also a chance the title never gets created.
Correct.
Yeah, we could add a whole long list of people on there and see if things happens. I just think it's fairly messy.
Okay, so there's a motion that there's an amended motion that requests. Okay, withdraw. Easy. Okay, so we're back to the back to the original recommendation, original motion, which is moved and seconded. You want to speak to that?
Yeah, I had a question. I saw that we had no response from the Slavonic Hall. And when was the last time we actually did talk with them?
Through the mayor, I have not been able to get a hold of anyone. I started here, this is 2 years ago now, almost 3 years ago. I believe Duncan may have a little bit more history there, but it has been multiple years. We have not received, and we do send out letters to, we have an address on file and contact information on file, but we don't get a response.
Additional information. At one point, council looked at that building and had staff contact the provincial government to find out what was going on, and we were informed that it was in a sheets, I think is the terminology, which means that the group was folding and their assets were being dissolved back to the provincial government because it was a nonprofit society. But that process hasn't happened yet because the title is still in the Slavonic Hall name, and they haven't applied in the past. I know we've discussed this and they've been left on the list, so it's really whether or not you want to continue to leave them on.
Okay. We'll go to the left side. Go ahead, Councillor Fleur and Councillor Thompson.
If they have not applied for the grant, there's a question about their society status. If the province is getting involved, they should be removed from the list.
Councillor Thompson?
That building has been condemned, I believe.
Yeah, pretty much.
And if there's no group, I don't even know if Slavonics exist anymore. Maybe contact through the USAC if they know.
Yeah, it's an unusual arrangement. We went to look at it for a potential home of the seniors hall. We reached out to a lawyer in Trail that we got a key from, and there's I understand one living member that is in care here in Grand Forks, and that's and the government, that's as far as it went, and that's where it really sat. So it said the government said it exists out there in the wind somewhere, but it has been a different kettle of fish to deal with. I will tell you that much. So, Councillor Krog.
Yeah, the idea behind the tax is to allow those groups to function, flourish, that kind of thing. There is no real group left. I would say remove it, and if they get a tax bill, maybe they'll actually respond. That
Okay.
it makes sense to me. So.
Councillor Zlinski, sorry, I didn't see your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I apologize to staff. I did not get through all the information. So what you're telling us is We do not have all the financial information and everything else for this group like we do with everybody else.
Okay. Councillor Mark?
Yeah, so I would be asking for an amendment that the Slavonic
Copy moved.
Society be moved from the exemption. My understanding of it, not just the exemption is not just to allow these groups to do well. It understood that they provide a service to the community, and I can't tell that right now. So I would ask for that amendment.
Okay, so there's moved. Is there a seconder for that amendment? Councillor Krog? Okay, so I'll ask any questions on that amendment? Okay, so there's a motion, there's an amendment? May be removed, okay. Seconded. Any questions on the Slovak Hall being removed? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, back to the original motion now, with which will have the exemption, with which will have the Slavonic Hall off of it. And that's been moved. That was moved and seconded. So, right, correct, moved and seconded. So now I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. All right. Moving on to any questions from the public and media? Over there. See the media there. No hands. All good. Okay. Anything online, Kevin? Okay. So I'll have a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Councillor Fleur, seconded by Councillor Cog. All those in favor? Opposed? Adjourn. Yeah, let's take a We can get back here. I'm going to call to order our regular meeting, August 17th, 2026, and it's 11:28. 11:28. We have the agenda before us. If can I have a recommendation to receive the agenda? Thank you, Councillor Fleur, seconded by Councillor Thompson. All those in favor? Opposed and carried. The minutes from July 13th, 2026 regular meeting and present the meetings as presented. Thank you, Councillor Fleur, second by Councillor Thompson. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, moving down to the various council reports. Oh, yes, sorry. Go ahead, Councillor. Okay. All right, moving on to reports. Let's start with Councillor Studley.
I did attend the meeting of the museum. Everything seems to be plucking along. I'll send minutes when I get the minutes.
Okay.
So
Councillor Mark.
No official report, just busy summer.
Thank you, Councillor Krog.
Okay, I've done mine then.
All right.
Nothing to report.
Okay, Councillor Lafleur.
Good morning. On July 17th, along with members of council, I attended the ribbon cutting for the end of the flood mitigation project and the luncheon at Gallery 2. Congratulations to everyone involved for a job well done. And I imagine Mayor Baker will speak more to this. As council liaison, I attended the Grand Forks Trails Society meeting on July 21st. The trails manager and his four summer students have done an incredible job maintaining our trails this summer, and they've replaced 5 picnic tables. Keep up the great work. On July 23rd, I attended the Grand Forks Library Board meeting. We have a fairly new board that has some great ideas. The Friends of the Library have recently purchased 2 elephant chairs. Now, these are chairs that look like elephants, and they're in the children's section. If you are interested in helping the library name the 2 chairs, send them your suggestions. Gallery 2 had a summer social fundraiser on July 25th. We had tickets, but unfortunately I was ill and wasn't unable to go. So we gave the tickets that we won in a draw at Gallery 2's AGM to Mayor Baker. From the photos and comments that I saw posted on Facebook, it looked like everyone was having a wonderful time. This long weekend, the Grand Forks Fire and Rescue held their annual dive-a-thon. And we went down to say hi, grab a burger, and put a donation in the boot. While we were there eating, the pop-up tent started moving around. One actually hit my husband. The one behind it hit somebody else. The wind just went crazy again, so we helped hold them down until they could be safely taken down. The burgers, as always, are delicious. We attended the downtown block party with Jacob McMillan and Bob Seeger Night Spring Party. On August 2nd. I would say that this really was the event of the year for downtown Grand Forks, and people came out in larger numbers than last year. Thankfully, the weather cooperated with this event. Some comments and concerns that I heard were that the event lacked food vendors, obviously just popcorn, and most simply not enough bathroom facility, something that could be addressed next time. And thanks to the city, some of us got a bit of a shower when the irrigation came on. The 2026 Men's Baseball Championships were held at James Donaldson Park, July 31st to August 3rd. I did volunteer at the grade 8 during this top-notch baseball event. Attendance on August 2nd was definitely way down. People were at the downtown block party, and sadly the smoke in the air was a deterrent event for people. Congratulations to the GFI board for not 1, but 2 great baseball events this summer. Thursday, August 20th, the City of Grand Forks will be hosting a prospective candidates information session in council chambers at 6 p.m. This session will be an opportunity to ask questions of the Chief Electoral Elections Officer, City of Grand Forks, and retiring council members. Anyone running for office in the 2026 general municipal election is invited to attend. I have made the difficult decision not to run in the upcoming election. For a number of reasons, I do not have the same energy to give to this office as I have during the past 4 years and have decided to retire. I will be attending the meeting on the 20th along with Councillor Thompson. I have thoroughly enjoyed working as council liaison to my 4 groups, the Grand Forks Community Trails Society, the Grand Forks and District Public Library, the Grand Forks and District Rec Commission, and the Grand Forks Senior Society. I have greatly appreciated those that have supported me during this term. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Thompson?
Thank you, Your Worship. I was away most of the month of July. My husband and I were in Kelowna as he was undergoing radiation treatment for prostate cancer. We stayed at the Rotary Lodge, and I cannot say enough wonderful things about that facility. Brian stayed, cost him nothing, and it cost me $54.60 a day for 3 meals that were delicious. So I was not able to attend any of the events that all of council participated in. And the smoke has precluded me from attending other events that have been going on because of my own health issues. So I regret that I wasn't able to participate in these things, but I thank all those members of council who did.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Councillor Zielinski?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know if this is the right time to say what I'm going to say, but I'll go anyway. I'd like to take a moment just to reflect on where Grand Forks has come, not only in the last 4 years, but for the longest time. I've got 2 ladies to the left of me that have indicated they're not running further, and I'd just like some acknowledgement of we realize that we always stand on the shoulders of the other ones before us, and we take great pride in continuing that run, and we need to appreciate all those people that put in the time and effort to get Grand Forks where it is today. Recently, in the last few months, we lost one of our long-term employees, Vinny Federico. 37 years with the city. Has made sure that things worked so that we could enjoy them. And there are others like that out there, but definitely with Vinny's passing and the ladies retiring, I just want to take this moment to say thanks to everyone that went before us. You've given us a good thing to work with, and hopefully we don't mess it up on you. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Zielinski. I'll say ditto to those conversations. Most of the discussion has taken. Thank you, Councillor Lafleur, for your good document there, because that speaks basically to everything that we've done this summer. I will say, though, much appreciation to staff and to the councillors that showed up for our ribbon cutting, including the youngest member of our community, Councillor Marks, little one, who, as we were walking along the dike area, talking to the minister, I said, here we've done this flood protection and stuff. That's the reason why, right there, in carrying in his arms are the reasons we do what we do. And so my appreciation to everyone. The minister staff could not say enough good things about our staff. In fact, I think she had looked at hiring a couple of them if I'd given her the opportunity to do so, because she was so very impressed with our staff. So again, thank you very much for all that they've done. Summer's not over yet. We have a couple of weeks left before we head into the fall. So get out and enjoy when the air is good. All the things that Grand Forks has to offer, and to echo Councillor Zielinski's comments that we build on the shoulders of those that are left behind, and have gone on, and you know, it's some of us are shorter than others, some are taller than others, but we stand there, and absolutely, this council has much to be thankful for, and to be and not to be ashamed of for what we've been able to accomplish as we head into the fall. So, anyways, that's my report for today. So, thank you. Okay, then everybody's done. Okay, so can I get a motion to receive the reports, please? Thank you, Councillor Fleur, seconded by Councillor Mark. All those in favor? Opposed and carried. All right, moving along. Recommendations for staff for decisions. The appointment of our auditors for 2026 to 2028 fiscal years, financial services. The recommendation is that council council appoints BDQ Canada LLP as the city's auditors for 26, 27, and 28 fiscal year pursuant to section 169 of the community charter, and that the council authorize staff to enter into an agreement with BDO Canada LLP for audit services for the 26, 27, 28 fiscal years. Moved. Thank you, Councillor Lafleur. Seconded by Councillor Mark. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. The application, number 2, the application for the event-driven liquor primary license for Grand Forks Border Bruins Hockey Club Ltd., Jack Goddard's Memorial Arena located at 2028 Central Avenue. The recommendation is that council approves the comments the council approve the comments made in this report with numbers updated from the public feedback session to be sent to the LCRB regarding the application for the event-driven liquor primary license for Grand Forks Border Bruins Hockey Club Ltd. Jack Goddard Arena, Memorial Arena located at 2020 Central Avenue. Do I have a motion to move, please? Thank you, Councillor Fleur, seconded by Councillor Mark. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed and carried. Thank you. Development variance permit, DVP 2603 for 23. Sorry, thank you, Councillor. For 2345 68th Avenue, gutter development and planning. The recommendation is the council does not approve development variance permit BDP 2603 for the property located at 2345 68th Avenue. Do I have a motion? Comment? Okay. Let's put it on the floor and then we'll talk about it. So.
Just a comment that Councillor Studley has.
Let's put it on the floor and then we'll talk. We'll ask the questions. So the motion is, thank you, Councillor. You move it? Thank you. Seconded? Thank you, Councillor Fleur. Now questions. Go ahead, Councillor Fleur.
We put bylaws in place for community standards for developments. I am not in favor of removing the curb and gutter. This was something that was put in for new developments for consistency, and I don't agree that maybe setting precedents, but I'm not going to argue that issue. But it is to the aesthetics of the neighborhood to have curb and gutter. I live in an area that doesn't. I can tell you that the edge does get worn down and all the weeds from the road start growing up into my property. So I will not be voting in favor of.
Okay. Any further? Go ahead, Councillor Thompson.
I appreciate what Councillor Lafleur has said. Excuse me, however, I do want to see this development move forward. That I know that management has recommended that it not be approved. But from what I'm hearing from the engineer's report, and I would ask staff to comment on that as to if they disagree with the engineer's report, with respect to the compact gravel and the swales.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
Sure. So,
Duncan.
so through your worship, in regards to the gravel as opposed to the curb and gutter on the side, yeah, I mean, our third-party engineers looked at it. The engineers stamped it. It will work. It will shed water. It will go into the swale. Staff's recommendation at this time is just based on the existing bylaws and that technical evaluation, but it will work. Engineers signed off on it. It will function as designed.
Further questions? Go ahead, Councillor Mark.
I just have a thought that I guess I'll share with the rest of council. Myself, I prefer the curb and gutter system. It's worked well for quite a long time for subdivisions. Unfortunately, we live in a world where we're having to think of different solutions all the time. I think this is a solution that doesn't necessarily take away functionality, and given the drainage system proposed, the removal of the curb and gutter would actually be a benefit in evenly distributing the water. And with some things are worth trying. It's a relatively low exposure on this one. We were talking, I think he said about $150,000 if we were to try and put it in the next time we have to repave the road. And I know it's going to cost more in the future, but we'll have hopefully 20 additional tax folios to help with that. So,
Councillor Zelinski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to staff. There's a comment in the report. Maybe I'll just read it out. And it has to do with the development on the north side on 22nd. It said at this time the modified cross section was considered acceptable as it closely reflected the roadway standard previously approved by council for the subdivision immediately north on 22nd Street, and which established precedent for a similar roadway configuration. Yet I hear the proponent tell me no single subdivision will set a precedent as opposed to the next one.
I mean, the short answer to that is I believe the applicant, and I don't want to put words into their mouth, was talking about a legal precedent that you have to vary the curb and gutter in the future, I think he was referring to, whereas in the report, we're talking about that type of storm system being accepted by the city as it holds the water on the property and is acceptable because there isn't a community storm system.
Go ahead.
Okay, through you, Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
or Mr. Chair. So the one on 22nd has culverts under the driveway. This one isn't, so I don't see how it could be the same system, I guess. So I'm gonna take verbatim what I'm reading here is the 22nd Street established a precedent for roadway configuration. Yet when I go to 22nd Street, it's a square curb. It's not a rollover curb. So to me, that's a degradation on their standards. Again, so I don't know whether it's precedent or not, I guess. So it's confusing me. I guess either way, not my standard. Bryson Place, the other subdivisions are my standard. I've been to council before on trying to change that in the past. So yeah, that's where I'm sitting. Thanks.
Okay. A question to staff. So if I understand, the difficulty is the lifespan of the asphalt. So we're talking 25 years.
So through your worship, and that's something that I have indicated in the past is, we're relying on that third party engineering, right? And that's that technical review. And I've indicated in the report that council has a lot of different things that they need to look at, but on a purely technical basis, our engineers indicated it won't last as long. Does that mean 25 years, 45 years? I mean, we have some subdivisions that are 50 years. I can't necessarily give you an exact number of how long it's going to last. Depends on the traffic, it depends on
Right.
drought, it depends on all these things.
Okay. Councillor Krog, do you have any comments before I call? Okay. All right. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just in case there's not an understanding that once the city takes over that roadway, we're responsible for the drainage off that roadway. So we have to control our drainage. No curb and gutter without managing what's coming off there. My envision is, with what we're told about global warming, more downbursts, bigger pools of water, and you throw that on top of frozen ground, we could have an issue. And I've been involved in one in the city already where our runoff off the road went into a person's house and there were damage claims because it was our runoff. So technical reasons for the curb, operational reasons for the curb, I think we'd be doing a disservice by accepting something without it.
Thank you. Councillor Mark?
Thanks. I guess, Councillor Zelinski, I had also considered that, we do have 4 seasons here, although sometimes it seems like we don't get a winter anymore. Talking about the concern with the frozen ground, I could see that more if it was connecting to a stormwater system. Given that we're not currently connecting to one anyways, once those soaker pits are full in winter or on a frozen time of year, any water we do have is gonna end up excess anyways. The curb and gutter, if anything, I can see it channeling it, and then you have more issues with erosion somewhere else wherever that channeling lets out. Whereas the removal of the curb and gutter hopefully will allow it to go off to the side. I don't know if these swales will be deep enough or will have the capacity to fully handle that, but that was just my thinking on it.
Councillor Krog?
Yeah, couple of things. I like ditches. I grew up on the coast, out front of our house. That's what we had. The only difference in what they're proposing is there weren't culverts between them. Right? So we would have these ditches.
I remember.
Okay.
I remember.
But we don't have, even with global warming and climate change, we don't have monsoon downpours yet. So, like if a curb and gutter, if we had a freeze, it would affect the curb and gutter, and it would affect it. So I'm not seeing that much of a difference.
Councillor Thompson? Draw this to an end here.
If council were to allow this development to proceed as being proposed by Mr. Barabia, and at some future time it was determined that sidewalks and curb and gutter or whatever needed to be done because the property owners in that development area were concerned, could it not be done by a neighborhood improvement program tax and not be a burden on the rest of the city?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was going to confirm there are sidewalks and we're not varying the requirement for sidewalks. You're correct, in LAS, the local area service improvement bylaw could be passed if the neighbors, 50% or 51% of them agreed that this was a service they wanted.
Okay, Councillor Zelinski?
Yes, just a bit of rebuttal to my colleagues here. I would have liked you to talk to people in Bryson Place. They experienced just that this summer with that big downfall that everyone had problems with, and that was just one. And with curb and gutter, they're having issues controlling that. So I'll leave it at that.
Go on a ditch.
You can't control.
Okay, we're gonna call the question. So, yep. Sorry, go ahead.
Friendly amendment to the resolution. Can I take the do not out? I'd rather see a motion in the positive other than the negative. So I would like the motion to say that we will approve the variance.
Okay. So we will, yeah,
No, that, I know that wasn't.
so we'll have to ask.
Friendly amendment, you always try to do.
Who,
So I would suggest that
go
the
ahead.
wording then be changed to that council deny if that meet.
Worship, if the motion that's on the table right now is to deny it or not approve it, you can't amend it to say to approve it. You need to defeat that and pass a new resolution to approve it, if that's what council.
Councillor
Can't
Krog?
change the intent.
Sorry, Councillor Krog?
Yeah, I only made the motion to get it on the table,
Okay.
right? I do not, support denying the thing anyway.
Okay, so,
Yeah, that's.
okay,
Councillor Krog, if that's what you're suggesting, as opposed to voting on it, you can withdraw it with the permission of the second.
okay, seconder withdraw? Does any support the withdrawal of the motion? Okay. All right, so a new motion. Councillor Zelinski.
Do we accept the well, no, you've already written. Basically, I would do not support to support.
So the motion is to support, to approve the request.
No, I want to say that
That we are approving it.
yeah, it's very clear.
Right. Development, virus permit. Okay. 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 That council approves development variance permits DBP 2603 for the property located at 2345 68th Avenue. Okay. Move. We have a mover. Seconder, Councillor Mark. Okay. So this vote is to approve the development variance permit. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Thanks, Chuck. I'll tell you, that was a square dance, maybe. Anyway, so moving on. So we have information items. We have a 2026. Oh, right. Sorry. I always forget sorry. I always forget. Poor Councillor Studley. All right. Sorry, Councillor Studley. I forget about you all the time. So information item 2026 quarterly second financial report. For information, got it? Got questions? Go ahead, Councillor. Oh, you're okay. It's just for information items. Okay, motion to receive for information, seconded. Councillor Stinley. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. You're trying to find it. Yeah, so it's received in your financial services. Okay, business license bylaw number 2126. That, and the recommendation is that council approves third reading of the business license bylaw 2126. Motion. Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Seconded by Councillor Fleur. Any questions, Councillor Studley?
Yeah, I had somebody contact me about this.
Wow.
Their concerns were just regarding garage sales or yard sales. So right now, the current bylaw says 2 times a year for a maximum of 2 days. So you could do it 2 times a year, 2 days each. And they were thinking that could be extended a little bit, and looking at the current yard sale board and stuff like that, most people are doing it a little bit more. I looked at the city of Kelowna. They're allowing 4 times per year. So I'm suggesting 4 times a year and then up to 3 times that week. Just to bring it in line with our sort of 4-day week. It seems more and more garage sales are doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'd just like to make those 2 suggestions to it.
Don't forget an estate sale.
Yeah, there should be more than two.
Two.
But not the everyday.
Yeah. So that's why I'm suggesting to go with Kelowna's 4. So you could have it 4 times a year.
Yes.
3 days.
Okay. Any comments on that? I think that's accepted. I think we can just pass that information on to the to
This is the 3 readings, so you need to make the change now.
okay.
And you can still give it 3 readings after you make the change if you want.
Okay. So we're okay. Second that motion for 4. Yeah. That's a. I was looking at
We're
Kevin.
talking about garage sales.
Yeah, garage sales, up to 10 a year. Okay. Has anybody else had any comments on the bylaw?
Just question how I was going to vote.
It was interesting. I've heard absolutely nothing. Crickets. I think maybe we'll hear more once it goes into effect. Council amend the business license bylaw to adjust section 2.5.2 to extend the terms to 3 consecutive days and section 2.5.3 to allow 4 occasions per year and to give the amendment bylaw 3rd reading. Been moved? You're happy with that? Yeah.
No, business license bylaw number. I've just added it.
2126. Okay, so moved, seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Is that included in the 3rd reading, or do we need to do the 3rd reading now then? 3rd reading. Okay, good. Okay. Oh yeah, right at the bottom end. Sorry. All right. Moving along. Any questions from the public and media? Not at the moment. Karen, what are we going to do when you're not sitting here? I'm telling you. Yeah, good. No, that's good. Okay. No questions? Anything from online? Okay. So can I have a motion to go into camera, please? No. Yeah, that's just for information. Move to information. Okay, so motion to go in camera. Councillor Mark, Councillor Thompson, all those in favor? Opposed, carried. All right, shall we take a lunch break before we proceed in camera? Let's do that. So 45, because